Novara Media's Ash Sarkar has appeared on the BBC's Politics Live, and during a discussion on inflation, a topic close to my heart came up.
There's one thing which people never talk about when it comes to inflation. It's something which is really winding me up. I don't hear the Conservatives talking about it. I don't hear Labour talking about it either, which is we're hearing a lot about how interest rates are impacting homeowners. We're hearing nothing about what's going on in the private rental sector. I've got multiple friends who are coming to me and saying, my landlord's just put up the rent by £300. Other renters who I know have been kicked out and they've seen the same rubbish flat back on the market for, £600-700 more monthly rent. Everyone is being told to tighten their belts and rein in, their income apart from landlords.
I'm sitting here feeling a bit teary because, audience, I was one of those friends. I feel famous. My rent went up £300 this year. A month. I mean, with 3 people, £100 each, but still pretty shocking. I think Ash was completely right there. We talk about this a lot on the show, obviously very expertly, articulately put by her. And I think that comparison actually to mortgage holders is correct because, I don't want to start a war between renters and mortgage holders. There are lots of people who bought houses which are incredibly expensive because of our completely stupid economic system who now are going to face really crippling bills because, they bought houses for £500,000. And if interest rates go from 1% to 3% or 4% or 5% or 6%, that can massively increase their bills. So it is genuinely going to be difficult for mortgage holders. But it is somewhat frustrating that when interest rates rose, that essentially brought down a government. But renters have been facing unaffordable rents for decades. And this summer, average rents in London have got up about 20%, 16% to 20%. And that didn't cause a political crisis at all. In fact, there was complete silence. And this is very, very difficult to live with, I can tell you from experience. It's also over the long term, we see now you've got sort of people saying, I think the Lib Dems want to give people support if their mortgage interest payments have increased by 10% of their income. Now, fair enough. But what that doesn't take into account is that ever since the 1980s, actually, private renters have spent 30% of their incomes on rent, and mortgage holders have spent 18% of their incomes on mortgage payments. In this country, it's very good to be a homeowner and very bad to be a renter. And the moment that homeowners are getting hit, political crisis, renters have been being screwed for decades. Now, this is not to say if you're struggling to pay your mortgage, I do have solidarity with you, but can renters get some attention too sometimes as well? Because it is renters who have long suffered way more in this system than people in other housing tenures. Whether they were owner-occupiers, obviously they're sorted. And then if you're paying a mortgage for a long time, that's been a pretty good deal. Not a great deal this year, but usually it is.
It just goes to show kind of the utter contempt. I don't understand. It's like this contempt for renters by our political and media class that people who rent housing are somehow seen as like failures because they didn't buy their own home. And it's like, firstly, there's many reasons why someone will rent. Secondly, it's impossible to buy a home now. And it has been impossible for so many people for so long now. People don't have stable employment. Loads of my friends are on flexible contracts. They're freelancers because there's no, the standard employment contract is like going down. And so it's impossible to get a mortgage. Most people don't have a massive nest egg that they can, dip into, or they don't have like inheritance that can subsidize the deposit. So it just goes to show like how absent renters are from the conversation. And she's totally right when it comes to the dire straits that renters are in. Not only do we have people's rent going up by hundreds of pounds a month, but also when you have to leave a property, trying to actually find somewhere new to rent now is impossible. We have people who are, booking viewings into housing. And, but by the time they get to the home, someone's already taken it. Like there's also just a massive shortage in housing. And when it comes to, mortgage payers versus renters, obviously there's no need, nothing about advocating for the rights of renters in any way infringes on anything to do with mortgage payers. Because at the end of the day, the problem here is that the housing market has been captured and made into an asset for financial speculation, right? Rather than being seen as a socialized right. And that core problem lies at the heart of people who are being screwed over by ballooning mortgage rates and renters who are being screwed over by increasing rents. The core systemic driver of both of those issues are the same. So really, we should be joining together to fundamentally reorient how the housing system works in this country.
Yeah, absolutely. I spoke to someone the other day who was asked to pay £1,000 just to view a house. Like, my jaw was on the floor. It was unreal what is going on right now.